All right. Welcome. Hey, everybody. Who do we have on today? This is the Meshery development meeting for September 8th, Wednesday. It's perpetually hump day for the development meeting, I guess. We'll just have to get over it. Oh, wow. Some bad jokes this morning. Okay. All right, so brief roll call, brief kind of check on folks that are on the call. If you're on the call, please do drop your name into the meeting minutes. Nice to see everyone. I'm going to do a quick scan of those that are on the call and look for any unrecognized names. While I do that, I'll say this. It's a tradition here for everyone that joins the call to take a moment to introduce yourself. Sometimes you might have done that on a different call. The thing is different people show up to different calls. We actually have a call every day. Sometimes 2 calls a day. There's one day, Thursdays, that's a particularly special hell. Like every second week, we have 3 calls because we have the bi-weekly Meshery CI call. So where was I going with that is different people show up to different calls. So if this is your first time on on this call, please take a moment and say hi. There's a couple of folks that might have introduced in the past. Raphael, you might have said hi in the past, but do you mind saying hi now? Just a quick introduction. To awkwardly put you on the spot. So Raphael, if you can hear me, or if you can say hi, or if you can just do so in chat, that'd be great as well. Oh, by the way, quick word of warning. There's a standing rule on the calls. If you neglect to fill in your last name, a last name will be provided for you. And fair warning, there's a lot of sarcasm that flows through these meeting halls.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Sechiranda Hamza. I'm a Go developer from Uganda. This is my second meeting. I attended the community meeting last week, but this is my first development meeting. I'm happy to be here with you all. I'm still getting used to still getting familiar with the code base, but I'm looking at contributing to Mesheryctl.
Perfect. Mr. Hamza, perfect. That's a great place to get started, by the way. A lot of folks that jump into Meshery end up, or I often recommend to start on Mesheryctl. A couple of reasons. Two reasons. Smaller code base, like smaller set of concerns in Mesheryctl. And then also, it's really nice that each of the commands, like they're somewhat procedural in nature, the way that they execute. And also like there's one file for one command, like it's constrained, like you don't have to wrap your head around too many things to be able to absorb it and make a contribution. So yeah, kudos. My compliments on your choice, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Cool. By the way, Mr. Hamza, can you say your first name for me one more time?
Sekiranda.
Sekiranda. Oh, nice. Very good. By the way, this is maybe an old joke for some people. It's not really a joke. It's like, it's nice to have someone from Uganda on. Bami will have to close her ears because I think she's from Nigeria. There's just so many Nigerians running around here. It's just, it's nice to have some representation from.
Yeah, I noticed I'm the first Ugandan almost.
Yeah, represent, man. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Any other? So Bami is using curse words in the chat by now, I'm sure. But Ayush Sahu, have you gotten a chance to say hi before and be harassed apparently?
Nope, this is my first meeting ever. So I should introduce myself. So, hey everyone, my name is Ayush and I'm writing some tests for Mesheryctl. This is my first issue on Meshery. So, looking forward to working with you all.
Very good. Yeah. Sahu, I remember your 2 PRs already, or I remember yeah, it's good. Piyush, do you want to add an item maybe about the roadmap update for Mesheryctl? Maybe you can speak to that a little later. Good. All right. Anybody else want to say hi? It hasn't. There's a lot of familiar names. Good. Okay. Oh, one more real quick. Mr. Pandi, Jatin Pandi, have you said hi before? Okay. All right. First topic up is.
There are a lot of guests here, that's why I'm not speaking. But yeah, and I said hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I thought we had a nickname for you already, but okay. Good. Nice to have you on the call. Good. All right. No further ado. Utkarsh and Bariq, I think you guys have the first item.
Yeah, so actually there was a bug in Meshery where if you would try to retrieve performance results, it will actually show you an error. That bug was coming due to multiple reasons. Actually, a few things were failing. First was that the tokens were not being propagated properly, so the request was failing, and the failed request was not being actually checked. So there are a few things which were actually failing. This has been fixed. A PR has been raised to fix this particular issue. I've linked the PR in meeting minutes. This all what this PR does is basically fixes the propagation of tokens, which was causing the request to fail, the request provided to fail, and obviously has added some error checks which were not there, which was actually causing the panic which you would have seen in the logs that was attached in the PR in the issue. So yeah, this is a pretty short update. A secondary issue which was also uncovered due to this particular, like while we were fixing this, was that refresh tokens were basically refreshing of tokens was not quite working, and that has also been a PR has been raised to fix that that particular issue also. So now tokens should be long lived as they were in Mesheryctl. So yeah.
It's fresh. Could any comments or questions on that? Good. Okay. Well, so yeah, just if you're unaware, when users sign into Meshery, they have choice of a provider, which provider they'd like to use, and tokens come into play. Access tokens and refresh tokens and cookies come into play as well. And so, yep, that's all that I will say. There's Okay, so I guess, next topic, speaking, so next topic up, hey, we had a release recently. This release was spurred on by, well, some urgent time frame, and I can't remember anyway, I don't even remember what was in the release now, which is in part why I wanted to bring this up. Sayantan, who is, I don't know that he's on the call.
Yeah, I'm on the call.
Do you want to talk to folks about the mail template that you'd recently created and how we might begin to start to use that? Now that I've totally cut you off.
So you want me to explain about that mail template which I created?
Yeah, if you can, or I'm hoping that we'll get into this process of, even in an automated way, beginning to send out just minor release announcements that are, fairly rote in nature. And it'd be good to, some I think on the call have seen the last couple of release announcements, but they're still being hand curated. And so, yeah, I guess my question, if you have a copy of that template, or if you have a copy of it, does anyone have a copy of the old email? Take a quick look. It had recently been created, and so I don't know that much feedback had been given. I'll look for it.
Yeah, I got it, I think. So can I share my screen once?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Just steal the ball. Yeah.
So I think this was the basic one which we created. Like we have this template. Now what we do is that we just change the version of this Meshery and the highlights. We change what are the new features we have attached with the new release, and then we jot down all the release notes that are auto generated. Like I think everyone has seen about this general maintenance and the documentation part. So we just attach this thing, and then we attach this command for upgrading the Meshery deployment. But this footer and this header is always there. So yeah, this was the mail template I think we are using right now for release announcements. For the latest, I think there was a latest announcement for the I think, yeah, this one. So 4.8, I think, yeah. So this was the new release Meshery's version. So this is how we just change the format and send it to our users. So I think, Lee, you were asking about this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a poorly phrased question on my part. This is perfect. If you don't mind, just for open reflection for everyone that's on the call, if you scroll toward the bottom, about halfway through, there's two sections that are, or three sections, I think, that are probably common and static, common, and that we can automate. This section here, release notes. Most of you are familiar with these in so much as they are auto-generated based on merges, PR that's merged to master in the Meshery repo. A line item gets added and it gets categorized based on issue labels, the GitHub issue label. Then that PR gets merged into the appropriate, or I'm sorry, placed into the appropriate category here. That's done through, workflow and GitHub Actions. These release notes are auto pushed as well to Meshery docs, the docs.meshery.io, which is great. From a GitHub action, I'm sure if people can mine Bitcoins, we can certainly send out, connect to an SMTP server and send an email. And there's probably existing pre-written GitHub actions that do that sort of a thing. So if we already have those notes and they're already formatted in this way, getting them into an email template, into an email, not here in MailChimp, but rather the exported version of this HTML email. This is an open, Sayantan, I don't know that we've articulated this request and dropped it into an issue.
No, I think we don't have any issue for this. I think I can open the issue for this one.
Wow, thank you much. The other two sections, I think those are static as well. Like I think that we can, that what we have here is a little more helpful than what you'll commonly get from other projects. Other projects, they'll send out a release notes. And it's just, it's just very brief. It's just, a lot of times they're hand curated. It's just highlights very quickly what's been done in that minor release. In here, hopefully we're giving people the steps to upgrade, as well as like the people who are subscribed to the mailing list that this would be sent to. It would be, mostly like the dev group at the mailing lists that are on meshery.io is where this email would be sent. And so having another section about understanding Meshery's internals or how to contribute to Meshery, that seems, well, it seems relevant to those that are contributing, not as relevant to those that are using. Those that are using Meshery, they're probably interested, they might be interested in the architecture, the components, so the links there. Anyway, just open thought with all of you that are on the call, that this represents your work and in some respects, or not in some respects, like very directly calls out your GitHub username as well. So so if you have feedback, please see Sayantan and he'll take us through it. Also, if you're interested in trying to help automate the sending of that email, the issue that Sayantan is opening, please not only see Sayantan, but Rudraksh and Rodolfo. Rudraksh, who's on the call, is a good person to see, the delusional optimist. So one other item in here. Now, well, we've got a great system for automating the auto-documenting release notes for a single repo, for the Meshery repo. There's a lot of other repos and there's a lot of other activity that goes on in the other repos. So as a nice to have, something that is completely and entirely possible, and we've proven it almost every which way in GitHub Actions and GitHub workflows, is the coalescing of data between repos. Like when an update to an adapter is made, those release notes can be centralized in an automated way. So another gauntlet laid down for someone to pick up potentially. But Sayantan, would you mind if opening a second issue describing the distributed nature of the release notes generation and trying to centralize?
Yeah, I can open that issue.
Thank you, sir. That's great. Okay, fair enough. Not hearing any comments, we'll go to the next topic. If you do have comments, just interrupt. Cool, good. And then on this item here, is there a better spot for this one? Maybe someone can move it to a different location, or is this, oh, I see, that was the impetus for the release. There was,
Yep.
Okay, got it. Okay, so speaking of releases, we're, well, coming up on the .6 release. Not a small thing. A lot to talk about. Are Zain or Meghana on the call?
Meghana is gonna join a bit late.
Gotcha. Okay. Zain, I don't know if you're in a position to share the doc that is organizing the release announcement?
Maybe if you could share, I can go through the details.
Sounds good. Let me put a link to it as well. So, okay. Yeah, and then here you are, Zain.
Okay, so as of now, we have 3 features that have already been assigned for the release note or the blog. And let's start from applications. So applications are, nobody has still taken the release note or the blog post for that. So if anyone is volunteering, maybe we can assign it to someone, I guess Suhani.
Sure.
If anyone voluntarily comes up.
Sure. Yeah, good. So Zain, as we're organizing this, sounds like we'll have in the announcement, there will be a number of new features to explain, and some of the features are quite deep. And many of you know that because many of you have created these. And so either in a collaborative way or as an individual, writing up a description of that feature or that collection of features. A lot of times, for any given significant feature, there's often things to talk about in Mesheryctl, in Meshery server, like in Meshery UI, maybe in the adapters, maybe in MeshSync, maybe in the operator. Like there's a lot of components here. And so that sort of a cross-sectional description of the functionality and how that how that might be exposed in the UI or in the CTL. It's kind of what's being looked for. Some of these we might be able to describe them succinctly enough that there's just like a section inside of what would be a single announcement. And by the way, this is, I don't think we have a link to the final announcement for the last release, but it's a good reference. Like, hey, what are we trying to achieve here? We're trying to organize the upcoming release and let people know about all the things that went on. One of those that I think we're going to have a re-release of in some respects is the Nginx, the adapter for Nginx. But so here was last releases, organization, like this document organized the write-ups and got people assigned to write these different areas. As a matter of fact, so Zain, one thing that we had the foresight to do last time was create an issue for each area. That way people could sign up to write that, either that section or write that blog or write an individual blog post. So the blog post for V050 went out on the community site here. And I'm trying to bring it up. Anyone else that runs Safari? Anybody else have issue bringing up the layer 5 IO site? Is no one else silly enough to run Safari? Bring up Chrome. I think it's good to reflect, or probably the easiest way to consider what we're attempting to do is to go take a look at the blog for the last release.
Lee, I just checked with Safari and it seems to be loading fine for me.
Is it okay? That's heartening, and also disheartening.
I did notice last night that there might be some sorry, I'm blanking on the term. When web pages have trouble scaling to different sizes.
Responsive. Yeah.
Responsive design, that's it. Sorry, it's still very early for me. So I did notice a few issues when I was looking at the conformance page last night when I had the window scaled down a bit. I don't know if that applies here.
Oh, sure. No, it's a good.
Sorry, that might be a completely separate, that's probably a completely separate topic, just
Yeah,
came
no,
to
but
mind.
Yeah. No, but good to note. Really briefly, was it things around the table or?
The top with the image seemed a little off, but yeah, there how it gets cut off there, and then you can't scroll to the side.
Believe it or not, that's by design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which calls into question the validity of the design. Gosh, I wonder whose idea that was. Yeah. I'll take blame there. That was, it's funny, when we first designed it, I never even intended for it to actually be shown the full width. I always intended for it to be cut off but it just says how poorly I do design.
Easier to try and get people to sucked in to try Meshery.
Yeah. So very good. So here's an example of the last release, and the link to this is going to be in the meeting minutes now. So Zain, to kind of come back to you, the goal here is to get names on here. So, this might take a full blog post unto its own, or maybe it's just a section in the overarching release announcement. There's other sections, like there's the connection wizard. That's net new in the v0.6.0 release. What is it? How do people use it? What can it do for you? So this is a good opportunity for all of you to get in and actually speak, whether you've worked on that area or not. Please consider signing up. Yeah, briefly, I said I would capture this. All right, so on the topic of releasing, as we go to get ready to do this, that we are, by the way, we're in need of, well, hosting a couple of bug smashing sessions. We're in need of making sure that things are fairly well hardened, that we can confidently point people to the release and suggest that they upgrade. So, by the way, this document here talks about our different announcements and how they might work, just as a reference. So there's an open call here for someone to be a release manager. The last 4 releases that we've done, people have said, well, what does that mean? And the last 4 times, I think we've neglected to write it up, and I've just done what I'm about to do, which is describe it as herding of cats. In some respects, it is, scheduling a couple of bug smashing sessions. It is making sure that the announcement is written. It is making sure that the milestone that is in GitHub. So there are, many of you might know this already or should know this already. If you go to the issues area for the Meshery repo, there's a collection of milestones. And so, in accordance with these milestones, we're like 88%, we're almost there. We've got 168 items closed and 21 open. So part of the release management would be like, hey, are we driving the remainder of that 12% to completion? So it might be following up on open issues, helping connect the dots between someone who's stuck and someone who can help. That activity, by the way, is one that I would generally encourage you all to give consideration to doing occasionally. So there's 160 issues out there that are open just in just this repo, right? There's like, we have 5 GitHub orgs, 50, 60 something repos. Just in this one alone, there's a lot of open issues. You got to imagine, so we have a stale bot that comes around and is configured to check up on things. You might have gotten a message from the stale bot at some point saying, are you still working on this? The stale bot will ignore issues that have this label, issue will fix. It won't bother following up again. That just means someone has manually assigned issue will fix that label, and the intention is to eventually support TCP load testing, for example. But you can go in and sort by least active or least recently updated, which is a great way to go around and as a different activity, check in on folks or check in on the assignment. A lot of times people will sign up with the best of intentions and then life happens. For whatever reason, they either couldn't quite get it figured out or they broke their leg and they had to go do something else or whatever happened. But following up and checking in is nice. It shows that we care about the work that they're doing. That's important work. For all of you that have been around for a little while, it's not usually doesn't take very long. Most of you will have gotten an invite to join the GitHub organization here. And part of affiliating your username to the organization is that you then have triage permission over the issues. And so any one of you, the vast majority of you, are able to come in and we'll drop in a label like this, remind, issue progress check. So if we label this with remind, momentarily there should be a bot that comes around and says, hey, it's been a while. How are you? Hurry the hell up. No, it says, can we be of any assistance? So, there's probably some snark in there, I'm sure. No. Okay, thank goodness. But feel free to use that on occasion to help make sure that folks are, that things are moving along. A lot of times newcomers will drop in and they'll say, hey, I'd love to contribute, but I don't seem to find any open issues. And it's like, well, there's a lot out there, and that just happens to be that there are stale assignments sometimes. So release management isn't part about herding cats is what I was trying to articulate. If you're interested in doing that or being the release manager for the V060 release, please say something somewhere. Also, let's get some names filled in if we can on the sections for those that are interested in writing it up. And then probably some issues created to track that. Like that would be part of the release manager's job, potentially. Create the issues, follow up, help people, make sure that the draft is being reviewed. Okay, next up, Nithish.
Yep. So yeah, so like if you have been in the community for some time, like you would have known that we are actually working on bringing in Redux and making some big architectural changes to the Meshery UI. And just a second, let me share my screen. As a part of that, I have been doing some work on that. Give me a minute. Okay, I hope it's visible now. So yeah, as a process, like this is basically a huge task, and we will have to split up. Like I have split up the tasks into multiple subtasks so that it is easy to track and it will be easy to manage the huge amount of work that we have to do. So what you're seeing here is the task that we have to do in order for the whole function. In order for us to change it to a new architecture and keep it totally functional. So if you look at like some things that, like I have been working on it and I've checked out some of the things, and still there are a lot left. and I will be reviewing those things which I have completed right now. So yeah, the first one is that I have set up a new structure to the code base. So actually before that, if you guys want to take a look at the code base and where it is actually the work is being happened, it's in a new branch called Meshery UI restructuring in Meshery reports. I have shared, I mean, you have the link over here as well if you want to go and check what and all changes are being made. And yeah, so now coming to the tasks. So we have that like the new structure to the code base has been set up to give you an idea. So this is what the structure of our UI that we have right now. So basically you'll see that it is much more structured than the last one that we were having, and will be easy to like, it will be easy for us to navigate between different parts of the code and to like it will be easy for us to manage in this case. So yeah, you can take a look at the code in the branch yourself also. And yeah, also I have set up a unit testing and integration testing frameworks. I've used the React testing library and then Gist for that. And after that, I have initialized Redux. Yeah, and I've also used Redux toolkit along with it to reduce the boilerplate. And yeah, after that, I have initialized Relay, which is the graphical client that we're using for us to communicate with the backend Meshery server. So yeah, and I have set up Prettier and ESLint, which are for formatting and linting respectively. And yeah, and like these are the just setup things. And after that, the one of the huge tasks is to create actions and the thunks and reducer logics for all the functionalities that has to be implemented with Meshery server. So these are a list of those things. So basically, what this means is that if any one of these things is complete, then it basically means that the only thing that is left for that particular feature to be functional is to write the UI components. So yeah, in this case, you can see that the dashboard page for like in all the functionalities that are required for, I mean, all the actions and thumbs and the reducer logics that are required for the dashboard page to be fully functional is written. So the only thing that we have to do is to write the components, which write the UI components. Yeah. So that I have actually like these are the tasks that we have to do under that particular task. This is a subtask. So, yeah. And yeah, still these are left which we have to complete, and after that we'll have to write the UI components for each and every one of them. And this I don't think is a huge task because we would essentially be doing like, I mean, we already have the UI structure in our current code as well, so we just have to refactor it a little bit and then make it more readable and stuff. And also yeah, so this won't be a huge task. Yeah, actually I'm thinking that like once this particular tasks are complete, I'm thinking that we can actually invite other people who are interested in working as well to collaborate with this thing. So that yeah, after this we would have a convention, and then like the code will be structured, so it would be easy for people to contribute to it as well. So that's the plan that that we are having right now. And yeah, after this thing is complete, like we would have a functional UI, but then we'll have to write tests and integration tests and also end-to-end tests and all those things. And yeah, if after that thing is complete, we'll have to write the contribution guide and then architectural section for Meshery in the docs as well. So these are the list of tasks that we have to accomplish in order for like in order for us to say that this thing is totally complete. So yeah, and this is where we are now. So by September 15, I believe that I'll be able to complete this thing, and then we can other folks who are interested can come and take up different issues. I mean, take up each one of these tasks and start working on them. So yeah, if anybody have any suggestions or anything, any comments? Oops. Okay, my mic was off all the time, or
No, it was good. No, you definitely would have gotten heckling had your mic not.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get heckling anyway. So briefest of recaps, if you're into UI, this will be of interest to you, or this will, if you're into UI and you're looking at Meshery, this set of changes is sweeping. There's a design spec that's linked in the meeting minutes that a number of you have reviewed and approved, and so this is less of a design spec and more of a decision making framework, and so the implementation and restructuring is happening inside of this branch. Nithish is carrying the torch, so to speak, but certainly not the only one. So he's calling this out just to say this work is in flight. He thinks that a significant, the first iteration is probably ready to in a little over a week, or about a week, or exactly a week. And he's soliciting input and feedback and engagement. And so please go and engage. It's good to be on the ground floor of how Redux is being incorporated. And it's really necessary for the type of intelligent and kind of real-time application experience that we're looking for Meshery to provide. So it's pretty neat. Okay, based on the time, Gaurav, you want to go next?
Definitely. Yeah, so this is the issue is basically about the common components or the centralizing component that we are currently using the same approach in the Meshery UI. So for this thing, the centralizing the Meshery pattern service form. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, over here. So as you can see that we are using a similar kind of a configuration form for the patterns as well as for the applications. So this thing we can keep it as a central component. So as this thing also discussed in the comments on the issue, but the main issue we will face on centralizing this particular pattern form component is that we are passing each and particular ID or name. As for example, over here, we are passing applications and application file or application data with all the APIs selected to the applications or the patterns. But similarly, for the patterns, we are also using the patterns and the pattern files. So centralizing this component would be a difficult task, or maybe that's not a approach that I think.
I think that will not create an issue for now, since the main reason that we are providing the function into the as a prop is to reduce the amount of redundant code. So that is something that is reducing it. So that's why it is here. And secondly, as you said, like very well said, that pattern form can act as a one component, and the applications patterns as well as filters in some way can use this pattern form as a component. So we can do that with this current architecture also, but it would be nicer if you have something different in your mind. So uh, I really could not get the exact feel of what you are saying, but I'm just, yeah,
Yeah, I
sorry.
was saying for having it a centralized component or not, because we are declaring all the IDs and all the names and APIs separately for the patterns as well as for the application.
Sorry, I really
Yeah, I
don't
think
get it.
I may not be able to explain it properly. So I was saying that in the pattern form over here function, so we are having this application. Similarly, we are having it for the patterns, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So how can we then use this as a common component? So, but we are declaring it separately.
Okay. So I believe applications, patterns, and maybe filters. I don't really know less about filters. So applications and pattern has a common pattern, and for the time being they can be used. And of course, we will be needing some minor changes according to the schema that is coming for applications and patterns, and how they are behaving internally for the UI. We need some change, minor change inside the usable component, and that should be done.
Okay.
Whatever you're thinking is also right, so we can implement it. That would be also fair.
The next thing I want to discuss is about the this delete read confirmation model that we are using across the patterns, filters, application, and in the performance. So yeah, regarding this, yesterday I had a talk with Nithish. So the current best approach we got on a solution that the whole model that we are using, the perf model we are using over here, that needs to be refactored from the scratch, so we can implement all these features. So changing the whole perf model would be a good idea for this thing.
So to give you like, yeah, so basically like we have a common component, we have a component called a prompt model, which is what we are using for which is what we are using across the Meshery UI for displaying these kind of I mean like prompts, whether you want to accept it or decline it, those kind of stuff. So basically right now we are only allowing like it just has three components right now. It has a title, it accepts a title and a subtitle, and then yes or no. So with that, if we want to display the number of, I mean, like the total number of the items that you have selected, then we wouldn't like if we want to add one more field to that particular component, then it actually breaks the. It does it. In that case, it would not exactly be very generic because like it is kind of specific to these kind of use cases. So that is, I mean, that's kind of thing that we have to think about. So what we decided was that we actually can do two things over here. One is that while passing the subtitle, we could actually pass in the string of all the items that you have selected as a string and then display it. That is one approach. Without like that would not actually break other places where this particular model is getting implemented as well. Otherwise, like other thing that we can do is like we can take the whole prompt component model and then build upon it, like create a new model out of it, and then yeah, basically we would just add one more field to that model, and yeah, that would be a different model. So that is also a different approach we can follow. Yeah.
Okay, so adding a string would be beneficial for now.
Yeah, I guess for now we can do that.
So that was all for a quick update.
Nice. Good deal. All right. Next topic. Abhi, I don't know if you just covered yours in the same thing or no.
Yeah. So if you can give me the sharing.
Sure.
So it is, yeah. So yeah. So we need some help over the patterns component since we have a lot of item to do for the pattern itself, pattern page. So let's do it and finish it up. So I have created an issue discussing all the action items that we are needing to uh, make this patterns page a success, and then whatever the Lee and team are thinking. So that's why I have created this issue. So this small issue can be broken down into several other issues, like the smaller ones, that is checked items. So uh, what we are for now is that's a very that's the first iteration of the thing that we are gonna that we had a vision for. So that's why the code is very messed up for now. So we need the full code what is called refactor. Yeah. So we need a full code refactor. So wherever there is an importance of combining the components, we need to combine it, and whenever there is not, so we have to extract out. So small things have been done by me in my recent years. So yeah, that is also great if you can watch it. And for now, if you can see this page, so the pattern forms, the full code for the pattern form or pattern component is written just below the Meshery pattern. So we have to extract it out. So since we are using Next.js, and I have a very less information like knowledge about the Next.js, so I just don't wanted to mess up with the how routing works. That's why I had put that beside the actual top level component. So we can just create a new pattern form. Sorry, we can just extract out the code into its own file, and then make this component as a reusable component, as just Gaurav discussed about. So we can do that, and there are other action items we can also think of. So multiple applications, yeah, of course, that is something that is really very important for the success of the pattern vision that we are thinking of. So if you see the book info, so that has multiple applications that is running concurrently, or multiple applications are communicating with each other. So in the current implementation, there is not a feature for multiple applications. So there is only, you can only provide one application from this tab. So you can provide one application, and that it will be reflected out here. So that's the only thing right now, since we are using objects.find. So what it does is it just finds the first application that we are from the YAML file and just returns it. So that's why we are using only one. So what we are thinking, what we can do here is, since we are using multiple applications here, so we can give some ways in the RJSF form itself to list multiple applications actually, right? So same for the Kubernetes services, same for configure add-ons, and same for the other istio messages or traffic messages, whatever we are gonna just add it, right? So that was the one thing that we have to do, and that is something that is on priority. So add reverse change operation for the YAML editing. So that is nothing but actually whatever we are doing here. So it just changes the YAML, right? So it just changed the YAML in real time. So but whenever we change the YAML, it is not reflected into the RJSF form. Actually, when we change the YAML and save pattern, then the saved YAML or the changed YAML are just saved. So that is not the problem, because that is the expectation. So that is happening good, but actually whenever we change the YAML, so it should reflect the changed thing into this form also. So that is the actual expectation. So that is something can be pronounced as the reverse of something. Yeah. So okay. So actually, I was using the Meshery mesh interface pattern service form, since most of the thing that we are doing here is actually already written in the Meshery service form itself by Utkarsh. So I was just using that component itself. So but recently we just get into a lot of troubles where someone's changing the code in the Meshery mesh in the mesh map, and then the side effect is just visible in the patterns file, and same applies for whenever we change something in the patterns file, then there is some problem with the mesh map UI. So that's why I just try to extract out the code. So we can just replace the code in the changes in the mesh map that we did for recently to the previous one, right? So we can do it since we are not using that component for the patterns file, so we can just revert it. Yeah, so that was it, and yeah, of course, that is the apply custom styling to RJSF phone. So every issue is here, so we can just track it down into by creating smaller such issues. Yeah, that was it. So if someone has any problem in understanding what is Meshery patterns, then they can also comment out. And if you have any other reviews, then of course you are welcome.
Bariq, did you have one?
Oh yeah. I was just wondering when I saw the form for the pattern, right? I was just wondering whether we can capitalize each word so that it looks more beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, I just applied the changes, suggested changes. So thanks for suggesting.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll see this later.
So the issue that Abhi was describing, each of those checkboxes, the issue that he's describing is really an epic. Like it's a large set of changes that need to go through, and those changes can be done. A lot of them can be done a la carte. So So if you pick off one of those checkboxes, you can, anyone on the call can create a sub issue and, or just PR against this and against a specific checkbox. Yeah, each of the components that people work with, they like at some point, the namespace that application will want to be provisioned in, it'll need to be captured. Well, okay. So how do I say it? So Abhi, is your namespace checkmark here, checkbox here? Is that
Yeah,
about?
it's
Like propagate?
checking the namespace and the content.
Okay. Is that like propagating the? Is that about form input validation, or is that about asking the user one time for the namespace and having that namespace value propagate through?
Actually, it is about since we are just providing a complete way to change or to configure the application. Namespace is something that is really important. So we are just providing a new text field for them to change their namespace accordingly, or the text field also would auto detect the namespace if they have already provided one into the previous build configuration file. So yeah, I think it would come with the YAML itself, the value of the namespace. We have to just look around like how we can render it in the charges of it.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. So there's a lot of things to be done here. This is it's an interesting area. One of the things you said about, well, if a pattern has multiple applications or multiple of the same type of component, an application as an example, currently that UI doesn't support multiple of the same type, I don't think. Or rather, like if you're working from the user doesn't have a palette of components to choose from. They have a pre-existing YAML, and based on what's described in that YAML, they will see components reflected that they can, expand, fill in the details of. But what if they want a new component? Where does that come from? And so, yeah, that's a great thing to address in this issue. Nice, good. Good. For anyone that didn't notice, patterns are a big thing to the project. Abhi just called our baby ugly, I think is what he did. So, and it looks like he got away with it as well. So apparently that our newborn needs some help. Anyway, getting into theirs will be good for all of you. RJSF is a library that we're going to be using quite a bit.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the checklists are really very beginner friendly, and they just need very small changes to work around. And actually, it will help a lot in understanding the Meshery patterns code itself. So if someone is new on the call and they want to work on it, so they can definitely work on it. And it's really very easy and a great ideal starting issue, right, for someone who is beginner. And you can connect with me on Slack also if you find any problem, understanding any code.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Abhi. Well, great. Well, so we're right at the top of the hour. There's a couple of items to chat through extremely briefly. One was with respect. Jared had called out a couple of issues, or at least one and maybe two, but basically they led to a couple. So one was lack of compatibility with Kubernetes 1.22. Jared, I think we're past that now, or the Edge release is past that, I think. So thanks to you.
No problem. I was actually just trying to test it now. I'll update you if it works.
Beautiful. Thank you. There's another one. I don't know if you ran into this, but Rudraksh or Utkarsh, the service account that's being used in one of the charts. Yeah.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I encountered the issue.
Okay, yeah, okay, you encountered the issue. Do you remember what, where that was? Like which, were you
Yeah,
trying to?
so yeah, what happens is in the Minikube environment, when we try to install, basically provision Istio, because at that point we because we internally use Helm installation, it tries to escalate the privileges, which is not something that service account, the current cluster row that we have, it doesn't have the privilege for the same. So the operation currently fails in Minikube. So what we need to do is basically add a, so right now we have access to a few verbs like get, list, and delete, and those kind of things. What verb we don't ask access for is approve. That's another thing that we need. Or again, asterisk would also work. This stuff. This is something that I've tested, so yeah, it works. This is something that we need to do actually to fix the issue.
Good. There have been some issues in the past with respect to RBAC and to, well, to other things, is that Mesheryctl uses manifest to provision portions of Meshery, the server and the adapter. It'll use Helm chart to provision Meshery operator and mesh sync and the broker. And while it's nice, I think, for end users that they have choice of any different style of deployment, internal to the project, we're trying to consolidate on Helm as the mechanism that is used between Mesheryctl and Meshery server for provisioning of its own components in context of Kubernetes. So that's, I think pretty sure there's an open issue on that already. That's something to be done. These are all kind of related because part of the discrepancy between, because there's discrepancies between the manifests and what they say and what the Helm charts have. Speaking of which, there's one other item here. We're missing a manifest for the Nginx adapter in the Meshery install folder. So that's an open issue with the help wanted on it that I think that is really kind of something of a copy and paste, copy an existing adapter, paste it. Okay, with that, we're 5 over. Anybody have anything else?
Just a update. So I tried again with the latest Edge release, the server, and it's still giving me that error for CRDs. Are there any other CRDs being used? Because I just saw the update to 1.
Yeah, there are 2 CRDs, and the 2 are, one's called Mesh Syncs, I think is the name of the CRD. And then the other one is Broker. Is the name of it. It might be Brokers.
Okay. I mean, we don't have to solve it here. I was just giving you an update on that.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Nice full meeting. Couple of items to spill over to next time. Last chance. Cool. Very good. Catch you all in a week or on the community meeting or the newcomers meeting tomorrow, I suppose. So nice to see you all. Talk to everybody soon.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.